Three, two, one.
All right. Are we good, Brian? Okay, perfect. Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Subtle Asian Voices. This week we're going to be talking about doctors, dating and marrying a doctor. And thank you to Jean so much for being with us. Oh, all right. So, just a quick introduction. My name is Daphne. I'm currently located in Los Angeles, California. I work as a physical therapist. And then a fun fact about me is that I was actually born and raised in Singapore. But that's it for me. And then, Jean, what about you? Introduce yourself.
Well, hi everyone who's tuning in. My name is Jean. I'm a practicing pharmacist in the state of California. I was born and raised in Maryland, and I am now practicing in the Bay Area in California.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, just some logistics. We are going to do just questions that we've
Hi
been doing
everyone
before.
who's
We're
tuning
just gonna have a
in.
conversation with Jean. Thank you again so much for being on this channel with us, Jean. We really appreciate you. And then audience, if you guys want to throw a question into that box, and we'll see your question and we'll hopefully try to answer it. And if y'all who are watching, please like this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe. It'll be great. It would mean so much to us. Um, so let's get started, shall we, Jean?
Yeah, let's go
All
ahead.
right. So, Jean, tell us about your husband, I guess. How did you guys meet?
We met online through an app,
Mm-hmm.
and he was at the time in San Francisco. I was in Maryland, still in school. So
Mm.
we were actually long distance for quite a bit.
Wow. So you guys started off like long distance. Is that how you guys met?
Right, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, how did you match from like distance to distance then? Just like, out of curiosity.
Yeah, good question. I get that question a lot actually. So I was actually looking very locally, so I wasn't looking maybe further than Maryland, DC, Virginia.
Mm.
Um, and so that's how I set my current radius.
Hmm.
So I was actually surprised to have gotten matched to him because he was
Yeah.
in California. Hmm.
Yeah. I wonder what happened on the app to do for that to happen.
So I was actually dating a different person initially through the app. And so I think when we got matched, it was during the time that I had shut off my account, maybe, or something.
Mm.
So we had actually gotten matched a year before we actually even I even started messaging him and he messaged me.
Wow.
So I think that's what happened. Or it could have been he was in Maryland at some point during my other relationship.
Gotcha. Wow, that's crazy how that happened. So I guess he like matched with you when he was in Maryland, and then all of a sudden you guys started chatting. All
Something
right.
like that.
That's pretty legit. So which app did you end up meeting on?
Okay, Cupid.
Okay, Cupid. Awesome. And then how many other apps have you tried? Have you tried other apps in the past, or have you just like stuck with this one?
We've tried, or at least I can say that I've tried multiple apps. I've tried Match.com. I've tried
Uh,
Bagel. And I think another one that I had to pay a subscription for. Like I can't remember what the name was, but I thought
oh, I
actually
see.
Cupid was the best.
Okay, all right, good to know. Because I'm on Hinge, or I was on Hinge, and then Coffee Meets Bagel, and like was just not a fan of Coffee Meets Bagel. I think the interface was kind of just like, so it's hard to navigate. So for all you app developers out there, if you guys want to make a very easy navigating app, will be wonderful.
I
All
can
right,
agree.
so
I think
yeah.
with Coffee Meets Bagel, you were kind of restricted to like the number of bagels or yeah, bagels that you can get per
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, exactly. I think like in a way that could be good because some people get like analysis paralysis, like a ton of choices, right? It's like the Cheesecake Factory menu. You have too many choices, you don't know where to start. But I think Coffee Meets Bagels like condenses it, which is nice, but it's also like when you want more matches, it's just not there, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So tell me about your matches then. So what made you choose your husband versus the other guys that you were matching with?
Yeah, I get this question a lot actually from my friends. And it's interesting because I didn't choose my husband and I was not intrigued by his profile.
Whoa, okay, snap. I'm so curious what the profile like looked like then.
um, and it was actually my mom who thought that I should go on a date with him and try him out.
Wow. All
So,
right, mama knows best. Snap. Does she
yeah,
like try to bring it up? Nice, like see you like
I
she like
think
you're
so.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she has a good eye for people, so I really trust her opinion
Oh,
and her
that's
judgment.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a couple things that I was attracted to, like in
Hmm.
when it comes to like reading and evaluating profiles. For me personally,
Hmm.
I think for her, she was attracted by his like photos with his family, so can she saw that he was family oriented.
Wow. All right. Go mom. Mom knows best, huh?
We do really
That's
thank her and give a lot of
hmm.
credit to her. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's awesome because I think they've known you from day one, right? So they know like what they kind of know who you are as an individual, and then sometimes we don't see it too. So it's really cool that your mom like stepped in and kind of got in there and was like, "Hey, maybe you should, give this guy a chance."
Yeah. Look what happened. We got married.
I know, seriously. So then, how long did you talk on with your husband before you guys decided to meet up in person?
We dated for I think about a year, and then we
Wow,
decided to pursue the next step.
snap.
Yeah.
So for that year up until that point, were you guys just like texting or were you guys doing like FaceTime dates? Like, what was that like?
So I feel like well, we did I guess everything. Like we talked online, we video chatted, we also
Mm,
met up in person, although it was hard because it was long distance for most of the
mm-hmm.
relationship at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, but it ended up well. I mean, we went through a lot of hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you meet the right person, everyone talks about this, but it's like you kind of know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It
It's
kind
not,
of like that's like a heartstring thing, right?
yeah, it's a strange feeling, but it's a good feeling at the same time.
Gotcha, gotcha. So in terms of that long distance then, what kept you guys going? Like how often did you guys see each other between like in person versus like in person dates?
So when we first got matched on the app, he was doing an internship, like a research year or sub
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, like in San Francisco.
Gotcha.
And after speaking with each other online for about 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
he offered the idea of meeting up. And he was actually going to be in the area, like in Baltimore,
Cool.
Maryland, which was where I was going to school. So
Mm-hmm.
it just like worked, everything just like worked out really well.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really strange, but it was exciting and at the same time. And so
Yeah.
when he came to my area, we met up finally, and everything just
Wow.
went smoothly. Mhm.
Ah, okay. So can you tell me what that first meeting was like when you first saw each other in person and like in the flesh for the first time? Tell me about that.
It was super awkward in the beginning because it was my second time meeting somebody through an app,
Okay.
but and I don't know if I was the first person to meet up with for him, but
Mhm.
either way, I think we're both nervous. And to this day, he like refuses to acknowledge this, but
Oh no.
I still remember like when we met at the restaurant, he had this he had his arm like awkwardly placed on the like he was trying to act cool, but then
Oh, like
like
like stop.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, those were good memories though. I still look back and think back to like how we first met. And
Aw.
then, after that, like we just hit it off. We talked about um things in depth, like things that were important to us. We talked about our
Yeah,
values and
that's so
et cetera, et
cool.
cetera. And then he asked to meet a second time, and that's how things just kind of like rolled.
All right. That's so sweet. I mean, like the first interaction for me is always like super nerve-wracking, because like sometimes you just don't know how it's gonna go. And it's also because you've had this and for me personally, when I talk to somebody online, like on an app, I have like this like image of like what I see with them in my head, right? Like you imagine a certain stature, like a certain like voice that comes out, right? So like the in-person meeting is always the best one, but also the most like nerve-wracking one in my opinion, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
So
Right.
can you remember a specific moment where you knew you would end up marrying your husband?
I think for me, I'd have to say it was a gradual feeling and a gradual realization. I think once
Mm-hmm.
you continue to date somebody, you kind of start to think about whether this person is somebody you want to end up with
Right.
for the rest of your life. And then you start
Mm-hmm.
to think about, oh, like what has he done for me, or how does he think of me? Does he think of me as just another girlfriend? Does he, is he committed? Is he devoted? And for me, I think it was easy to come to that conclusion that we were probably going to be going to the next step. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, for me, at least for us, we both actually knew that we were going to probably get married, like actually
Wow.
before a year into the relationship, and we only
That's amazing.
waited. Yeah, we only waited because our parents thought that we were maybe moving a little bit too fast. Then they
Okay. But your mom knew, your mom's like, you should go see this guy. So that's interesting. It's like, wait, let's slow it down a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So you would say like before the first year, you definitely knew for sure. Was there like how many months before you guys both decided like, yeah, we're ready to like, this is probably going to be a time we're going to get married?
I think it was around like 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
really quick. That's awesome.
right, right. Um, I can say for me, my dating experience has been pretty extensive. At least that's my opinion. I feel like I have had enough experiences in relationships that I can where I've learned, what I'm looking for, what I want in
Mhm.
my future spouse. So when I realized that he, kind of like went down checked off all of my boxes, kind of, and my feelings were pretty strong for him too, and they were mutual. It was
Wow.
pretty easy to come to the conclusion that this was something good and something that I wanted to keep growing.
Yeah. So I guess along those lines, I'm curious, what are the things that you were looking for where you're like, okay, check, 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 check. Like what do you have that list in mind? I'm curious.
I just don't want to make it sound like I'm like everyone has to like go by this, but I think for most girls, like we do have the things that we like look for.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I would say, somebody who's just really committed and um, somebody who I know, will take care of me and will love me,
Hmm.
who is very responsible, and which she very much is. Um,
Hmm.
Somebody who, I can have intellectual conversations with. That was really important for me. Our
Hmm.
values pretty much had to align.
Yeah, value is so important.
Mm-hmm. Cultural like differences and similarities was another thing that I'm looking for.
Right.
Is it somebody that I can, um, does he have a culture that like I can agree with and kind of like, yeah,
Okay,
think that.
gotcha. Okay, that's super important. I think we all look for the same thing too, because ideally, like at your core, you are who you are, and you want someone to match that and to be able to have that kind of like camaraderie too in a relationship, because it is an effort to be together, but it's also should feel effortless at the same
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah.
Yeah, totally hear that. That's so cool.
Mhm.
So I guess my other question for you is, what are the signs that, a couple is ready to commit to marriage? Like when did you guys decide that together? And like, what was that like for you guys to finally be like, yeah, we're ready to get married?
Mm, I think the support that we got from both of our families was one of the reasons. Because at that point, when we were ready, like our emotions were mutual, our
Hmm.
thoughts were mutual at that point. And I guess the last step was getting that okay from our parents, like, okay, like
Mm,
they were okay with us taking it to the next step. And that family support um,
yeah.
was just so strong. And we were just really grateful for that.
Yeah. I mean, in-laws are, I mean, they're part of your life, like your extended family, right? And you're becoming one with their family as well. So I guess it goes into our next question then. So how is your relationship with your in-laws?
I'm just kidding. Actually, so I can say for my relationship with my in-laws has been really improved. In the beginning, things, it wasn't all roses, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
especially for our Asian community, most of us, or at least traditionally, it's common to kind of get run into
Hmm.
rocky relationships with your in-laws, especially between the mother-in-law
Hmm.
and the bride. But
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that I didn't actually have to go through a bad relationship. I'm actually really thankful of my relationship with my mother-in-law, and we're really good friends. I mean, on top of just
Wow.
having a familiar relationship, yeah, like we'll talk with each other, we'll text each other,
Okay.
send each other photos of what we're doing, and if I need help
Oh.
with something like life decisions, and I'm like welcome to go to her and ask her for help, and she's just
Uh,
always been a good, fund of support.
Oh my gosh, I love hearing that because you ideally want to be friends with your in-laws too, because this is a relationship that you're building, right? And so
Yeah,
good to hear like such positivity when you're in that space, you know? But then
yeah.
then how about your husband's relationship with your current parents? Like what is that like? If you don't mind sharing, giving a little like look into that space too for our men who are listening as well.
So that's a really good question. And I think it's interesting to point out the differences between, men and women in a relationship. Like
Hmm.
I feel like women make more of an effort, or they tend to have like um more of a relationship with their family members and their friends, etc. But
Yeah.
for grooms, their relation, like I'm not saying like he has a bad relationship with my family or anything. I think it's just
Hmm.
um like women are more talkative, and we're just different, right?
Right,
So
right. Yes, we are.
yeah, like it's hard to say, but like my mother-in-law and I kind of both make an effort to like grow our relationship and maintain our relationship, but then
Right.
for the men, it's only when there's like a holiday or like a family event or something has to happen for them to be like, oh,
Hmm.
how's it going, and kind of like connect with your
Yeah.
family members. But I'm not saying like they're like not on good terms or anything. It's definitely not anything like that.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then in that case, have there been conflicts with your in-laws and how did you resolve them, if any? If there wasn't, then that's totally cool too.
I think in the beginning, a lot of people go through this, especially again, like in the Asian culture,
Mm-hmm.
because of that tension between the bride and the mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it wasn't so bad for me. And we've definitely improved our relationship from the beginning because she didn't know me, I didn't know her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
After we got married, things definitely took a different turn. Like she accepted me as her family, and I accepted
Right,
her
right.
as my second mother.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been great ever since then. And
Gotcha.
my sister-in-law even like lives with us right now for just
That's
temporary before she
yeah.
embarked on her medical career, and we've gotten really close because of that. And it's been a joy to always like come home and be like, oh, I can like play some Steam games with her tonight.
Oh, that's so cool. I
Yeah.
love that. I feel like because siblings for me are like really important because I'm like pretty close to my older brother, and like I ideally want like if I end up getting married to have him like relate to my spouse, right? So I can
Mm,
only imagine that like with siblings they're basically an extension of you too, and they're also like more on it. Like I feel like they're more candid with you as well, so you're
absolutely.
able to have that kind of relationship with them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I guess, being in your marriage then. So how about the relationships once you got married? How did your relationships with your friends end up changing if they did?
Maybe it's because we don't have kids yet, that we
Hmm.
just kind of nothing has really changed in terms of
Okay.
our relationships. Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah,
Okay.
it might change actually when we start having kids, because
Hmm.
our lives will get busier and we'll have more responsibility, and you know.
Yeah, gotcha, gotcha. And
Mhm.
then how about, let's see, how do you keep the romance going? So how long have you and your husband been married for?
We will be celebrating our third year in marriage.
Yes.
September. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Right.
3 years. Nice. So how do you keep that like romance alive when you get married?
Well, you can't stop dating each other. And
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the tips that I've gotten before I got married from other couples that
Uh,
got married. And it definitely holds true. I would
mm-hmm.
definitely, recommend that to other new couples that will be getting married or
Mm-hmm.
are married and are still very early in their marriage career.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important because once you get married, it doesn't mean that, you don't stop trying anymore. Like you have to
Yeah.
maintain your relationship with each other and keep the
Yeah.
romance going.
Yeah.
So,
Oh. So like,
yeah.
what's been something that you guys have done for each other then to keep the romance alive? Like in the most like I guess the most recent thing that you guys did.
Um, so we did go on a vacation with each other abroad. Kind
Ooh,
of,
fun.
yeah, like right before the whole COVID crisis started. So
Mm-hmm.
we were able to fit in a vacation right before. I'm really glad that we
Oh my
did.
gosh.
We would have been stuck for, half a year without going on vacation.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I feel that.
we went to Bali and had a really awesome time.
Wow.
Um, did some water sports and had some
Sweet.
good food, met some nice people. It was amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that traveling too is like a change of pace and a change of environment definitely like brings a new light to the relationship sometimes. Just like
Yeah.
being out of your environment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So,
spending quality time is really important.
for sure, for sure. And I think it's as you were saying before, like it's so true, relationships are effort. You know, you have to take the time to get to know each other still, like really communicate and also kind of enjoy each other too, because that shouldn't disappear after you get married, right? That's like that's why you got into the marriage in the first place.
Right.
So then tell me, so you guys are in similar fields, like both in medical, right? So how is life like being married to a doctor and how do you guys marry your two professions together?
Um, Good question. So, as you know, we met online and we were long distance for
Hmm.
some parts of our relationship, and we ran into a lot of hurdles because of the long distance.
Yeah.
Um, One of them being that before we got married, he had to choose where he wanted to go for residency training.
Hmm.
And for physicians, they have to rank where they want to go. And that
Hmm.
order is very important
Right.
because it helps determine where they end up getting
Hmm.
trained. And so for him, UCSF was one of his top choices, along with another medical center near my area. And so we're
Hmm.
talking about it, and I'm really grateful that he included me in his decision, and he really
Yeah.
cared about what I thought because he knew that if and when we do get hitched, that it'll affect my career, it'll affect
Oh,
my life and everything,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So he asked for my opinion, he asked for my thoughts, and we made a joint decision together how to rank his programs. And so, and this was before we got married. So then we're thinking, okay, well, if he does rank his programs and he gets into UCSF, well, how do we go about this? Like, how do we maintain our relationship? Do we get married now? Do we
Hmm.
get married later? Like, does this prolong
Yeah.
our like long distance relationship? Like, a lot of things
Yeah.
were kind of up there.
Yeah.
So we were long distance during his first year in residency, and then we got
Hmm.
married. And then I was able to move out to the Bay Area with him, but that whole process was very complicated and
Yeah.
it was stressful for sure.
Right. Right. I can only imagine. I mean, you moved all the way across the country for him, right? So
Yeah.
how is that? Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, you're as a pharmacist yourself, I'm sure you had to go through residencies and things like that too. So I guess what kind of sacrifices or what kind of changes did you have to make in your career plan, if any, and how has that currently affected your relationship and how that kind of grew in that?
So I had a lot of doubts about coming to San Francisco because of
Mm-hmm.
past experiences. Like when I came out here to do my pharmacy school interview, I wasn't impressed about the area, to be completely
Mm-hmm.
brutally honest. And so
Yeah.
he expressed his desire to come out here. I was like, I don't know. I'm really affected by the weather. So
Oh
the
yeah.
culture, I'm just not really a fan. And I remember when I
Mm-hmm.
got off that plane years ago for that interview, the weather out here was gloomy and dim. It was
Oh,
foggy, and I
I
like the
hear that.
tropicals. Yeah, I want
Mm-hmm.
sun.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah. You
trees
want
on my
Bali,
skin.
girl?
Yeah. So yeah, just lots of hardships. But in the end, it worked out really well. I wasn't able to maintain my professional relationships and my
Yeah.
familial relationships with my friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
We're all based in Maryland and in the DMV area. But when I came out here, I got to start a new life. I got a great job. I'm
Yeah.
happy where it got me now, um, and I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I feel you. We're being from the DMV, right? How all family and friends is there, and then it's kind of hard to move across the country, just drop everything, right? But I feel like it sounds like you've gotten a pretty good grounding where you are, and is it really, are you enjoying SF? How do you feel about the city now, or like the Bay Area?
I don't work directly in the city anymore. I used
Mhm.
to, and I'm kind of farther away from the city, and I really enjoy that. I think
Gotcha.
rather than like a downtown work life, I'm more of a suburby. That type of town life is
Yeah,
better fit for me. So
gotcha.
I'm having fun.
That,
Um, I got to go from one job to another, and
mhm.
it's just one improvement after another.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad to hear that. It's like definitely an upward trend, and I think moving to a new city is like it's a whole different ball game altogether. So props for you for doing that. It's so cool. So let's talk about a little bit about, finding balance time between working and managing your household responsibilities. How do you go about doing that? How do you go about like balancing your lifestyle between work, house chores, responsibility, and spending time together?
It's hard not to talk about gender roles in this topic,
Yeah, that's totally fine, girl.
but
Let's
girls
talk about that.
out there watching this, don't be afraid to talk to your spouses and get help from them.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Um,
partnership, guys. Partnership.
yes, we're all in it together, just because, we're a female versus a male, like not one person or not one side has to do everything.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, it's a team effort. And so in the beginning, we really grown as a couple, and I'm really grateful for that. And
Hmm.
I really respect him for being able to compromise with me and to
Yeah.
really listen to what I had to say. And in the beginning, we went from, oh, Jean does all of the housework and works, and cleans and cooks and blah blah blah.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like a lot. I'm
Yeah, it
exhausted
was
thinking about it.
and then it went from that to like, okay, he works and helps with the dishes. He does the laundry, we help each other out. So
Hmm. That's, I feel like that's ideal. It sounds like a lot because yeah, like the old school adage is like women cook, we clean, we work, we do it all. Like granted, women are amazing, guys. Go women because we do put up with a lot, but I think over time, like that has to change and communicate. And I'm glad that you're able to communicate with your husband about that because I feel like that just sounds so exhausting to like manage everything in the household on top of like your marriage, right?
yeah.
So
And to
gotcha.
give him some credit, he was a neurosurgery resident, when we
Mm,
first, got married. So I understood how tough the residency is and was on him,
yeah.
on his physical health and his emotional health and his mental health. So,
Mm,
it wasn't all, bad. Like I understood, and I was willing to, bear more of that burden, at least
yeah.
in that stage of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a shift and change, especially when as he, um, went from like a first year to like a second year to a third year to fourth year to fifth year now. And
Fifth
so,
year, wow, a
yeah,
long time.
4 years to go, girl. We're just nowhere near
Keep
the
trucking
end.
along.
Then you have to
It's
do a
okay.
fellowship after that. It just never ends.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, props to doctors, man. You guys have long tracks, and you guys are amazing. Like, keep working. You're gonna get to where you want to be, and it's gonna be amazing. It'll be worth it. I
Yeah.
can imagine though.
It takes
So I get, yeah.
yeah.
So keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. That was it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of wondering, so in terms of the marriage, I guess, so did you guys end up having like differences in like spending habits as well on top of that? Because you're as a resident, right? And as I'm sure like in school you have like issues with like not issues with money, but kind of like be really mindful of your budget. So in terms of, I guess, just to give like an idea in terms of spending and saving, how did you find that happy medium? Are you guys like really similar in those aspects in terms of finances?
Oh, that's a really big like topic for a couple,
Mm-hmm.
especially married
Yeah.
couples, because once you get married, people often wonder how you're going to compromise if you have different values for finance
Mm-hmm.
matters, or financial matters.
Right,
And
right.
for us, it wasn't too complicated. I think we were able to meet in the middle, or and you just have to first figure out, what you're how to budget, what
Mm-hmm.
you want to spend on versus what you would like to spend on but shouldn't at the moment if you're
Yeah.
potentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're on the same boat, like it's no big deal. I don't think we have run into too many disagreements really for that.
Gotcha. So what are some things that you guys had to like kind of work out a little bit more when it came to like finances and like what you guys enjoy spending on, you know? I feel like for me it'd be different because like everyone has different things that they prefer to invest in, right? So what was that like for you guys?
uh Funny you ask, because recently we had to buy him a new car because his
Okay.
20 something year old car broke down, and it was just not worth our time for him to keep on fixing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is about Asian men, but they love their cars.
Yes,
Like,
they do. I learned that too.
oh gosh. And so one thing he loves to invest in is cars. And if that means he will waste his gas on the road because
Makes
he
sense.
wants to rev the engine and race
Mm-hmm.
people, et cetera, or go fast,
All
see
right.
how far the engine will take him. Like,
I'm surprised in like city traffic and SF traffic you can do that. I'm very impressed.
you'd be surprised. um, yeah, so we'll run into we'll get tense when that topic comes up, um
Gotcha.
but when you're in a marriage you have to compromise,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you have to also respect each other's like values and desires and wants, because
Yeah.
even though you are two people separately, you are still, now married, and your money is his money and his money is
Mm-hmm.
your money. So
Right,
um,
exactly. It's just together now. There's no separation of that, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Makes
But if
sense.
I had to tell everybody, like, something that we had to work or we continue to work on, that would be probably one of the stories that I would talk
Gotcha.
about.
How about you then? What would you, is there something that you would like to spend on that he doesn't necessarily agree with as well, or doesn't like I guess like see it the same eye to eye in terms of value?
I think he'll just kind of like, give me, he'll like complain, but I don't think he actually like cares, which is great.
Gotcha.
I love how he's so like down to earth, and like if it's not something super important or that that like bothers him too much, then he just lets it
Mm.
go, which is
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
it's a good balance. It's a good balance.
right, right. So I mean, I like to, buy myself, pretty clothes, and you know how
Hmm.
girls can get, like we
Yeah.
pretty, we want to
Yeah.
dress up sometimes,
Yeah.
and it can get expensive, like
Girl,
shoes.
makeup in general, man, costs a lot of money.
Right.
Skincare, girl, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Shoes,
feel that
bags, makeup. Mm-hmm.
we all look good for ourselves as much as we do for each other, right? It's like an
Yes,
investment. Yeah, I totally
yes.
hear that. Guys, real quick plug, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do so. Just, just so we can get the YouTube algorithm going and get this views. Um, let's switch gears a little bit. So in terms of your marriage specifically, tell me about some one aspect that you were pleasantly surprised by.
Something that I was surprised about that he did.
Hmm. Just about your marriage in general, or like being married.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Um, I guess his behavior towards me has changed, and
Hmm.
I respect it. It's a positive thing for sure.
Right.
Like when I was just his girlfriend and I was a girlfriend status, I think his like devotion and commitment towards me was different.
Oh,
And
so
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. It's what kind of still gives me butterflies in my stomach.
Oh, girl, that's every girl's dream.
I know, guys. I mean, you kind of talk about, you kind of hear like older couples talk about, oh, it can get low sometimes, or oh, wait for the kids to come and, things might
Hmm.
change, but whatever. But I mean, there's
Hmm.
there's good in marriages too. So,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I mean, people want to get married so to have like just not just like that companionship, but it's like the devotion that you were talking about is so fulfilling if it's done in the right way, right? Like I can imagine just like the joy that you guys have with each other, um, as a married couple must be different as opposed to when you were dating. So, can you tell me about the most joyous day or the most joyous occasion you've experienced as a married couple? Anything come to mind?
um, I would say like when he includes me in his decisions, that's when I feel that highest high. Like
Hmm.
it makes me feel respected, it makes me feel included
Yeah.
and cared for. Because now that you're married, everything you do kind of or can and will affect your wife and your spouse. So
Hmm.
acting responsibly, and thinking before you make certain decisions, is really vital to any relationship.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I get a lot of joy.
Oh, that's really sweet. I mean, it's so important to include you in decision making as well. I feel like a lot of the things that you do as a couple, you don't really think too much about with another person when you're single, so you just do it. But then I feel you're so right when you marry your lives together, your lives are like literally intertwined, right? And what
Mhm.
he does affects you and what you do does indeed affect him. And I think it's so, so important that what you're saying. So marriage couple goals, like we're gonna be looking for that in future matches. Thanks, girl. I appreciate that. Uh,
It will differ
so
though for some
yeah,
girls. We each look for different things and we find values in different things. So
right,
yeah,
right. I mean, as long as according to Marie Kondo for Brian saying, does he spark joy for you?
spark
Does
joy.
he does he spark joy?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've maybe known each other for 4 years now, ish,
Yeah.
4.5. Not that long of a time, I guess. Some people might say, but we're good. Like we're our relationship. There's still sparks in our relationship.
Oh,
We go
I
on
love
dates
that.
with each other. He still holds my hand. He still opens the door for
Oh,
me. Yeah.
yes, yes. Chivalry is not dead.
So,
Everything that we want to hear. Oh my God, Gina, it sounds amazing. Um, so I guess, do you have any advice, like any key advice that you would give before someone gets married? Like, what would your advice be to a couple that would like to get married or is thinking about marriage?
Mm, well, this isn't supposed to be a negative like advice. This is
Hmm.
just basically a tip for those who run into problems. Hopefully, this is a helpful tip, and just get ready to compromise, guys.
Yeah.
Gonna be married to somebody, and don't call it quits just because you run into a disagreement,
Hmm.
and you fall out here and there. You will run
Hmm.
into those stages. It'll be a roller coaster. Sometimes it'll be high, sometimes you'll be in a low stage. And that's just part of life. It's part of a marriage. And you should just turn into a good thing where you kind of grow and learn from it.
Hmm.
Um,
Has
yeah.
there been certain things that you have found to be really helpful with compromise that you and your husband have put into place?
Mm, compromise. Well, I guess I could say this. Most recently, like I mentioned, he loves his cars, and
Hmm.
we spent a big chunk of our money to purchase his new car.
Hmm.
And he'll come home after being inside people's brains. And one of the ways that he likes to kind of diffuse is talk about things he likes in life, and
Hmm.
that's cars. He'll go on whole tangents about how cars work and what this engine does versus this engine, this tire, this is this tire,
Hmm.
and like blah 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 blah. And I have no interest in cars. I don't know what he's talking about. Like I don't care what color my car is. I'm just that type of person. So
Hmm.
you know, it's and it can get boring when he's talking about something that I don't care about.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I get that feeling.
I guess it's the same thing for men when us girls talk about, this bag versus this brand and all of
Mhm.
that. It's kind of the same thing. But
Yeah,
for
for
me,
sure.
like, it's my compromise to act and like appear interested in his car conversations that he likes to have with me.
Oh, that's really sweet.
I try, Daphne. I try.
Oh my gosh, girl. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you put in some work. So like he puts in work too, you know. It sounds like you guys have a pretty balanced marriage, which is really good to hear. Um,
But we've been
so
through it, so it was
yeah, I mean,
all, flowers.
yeah, I mean the long distance thing, like I'm still like trying to wrap my head around that, you know, like what that was like for dating for 2 years. And long distance in general is difficult. Long distance during residency is difficult. Long distance trying to decide like what to do for major life choices is difficult. So it sounds like you guys were able to even compromise from day one, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. Um, so I have to ask, is there anything that someone told you about marriage that didn't hold true for you guys?
Um, I don't think so. Like I've talked to so many people before we got married because I like to be very prepared for, life events like this. And thankfully, I had a brother who had gotten married already before me and had been
Mm-hmm.
married for, I think at that point he was already married for a decade. Uh,
Mm,
so he had a lot of things to say to me for me, a lot of questions that he answered for me. So I don't think
yeah.
so. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
another advice I would say for those who are looking to get married is, keep talking to people and um,
Mm-hmm.
figure out what's important to you and what you want to get out of a marriage. And
Yeah. It's good to, I mean, that's good. I feel like having someone look in and also someone who's been in the window of marriage versus as someone who's like looking to get married versus like a couple who's like just dating, those phases of life are so separate and so different that it's great to, you know, kind of get that information, make an informed decision because literally you're choosing to spend the rest of your life together. And I'm not sure about like, you know, what everybody else thinks, but like personally for me, marriage is like a big deal. I'm there for life, you know, I don't want to like think about getting divorced. I don't want to think about like having issues to even like that so it suggests like not even being in that headspace of being married, right? And I feel like as a culture right now, people treat relationships with such trivialness. Does that make sense? Trivial isn't even a word.
I know what you mean.
But you
Okay.
know, you get what I mean. Yeah, but it sounds like you got some really sound advice. So my question for you is what advice did your brother give you that really stuck with you as you got into this marriage?
Mm, hmm. Yeah, he's a man of very few words.
Mm. Who also seems to give really good advice, so that's awesome.
Yeah, he does. But I can't really think of what he said. It's been a while.
Or yeah, 3, 4 years. This has been a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think he did tell me like before we got married, like, hey Jean, like, just make sure you're, you know, ready to love this man uh,
Mm.
with your all. Uh,
Oh, that is very
so
good advice.
yeah, he's a great brother. He's always a fund of knowledge to me, and
Hmm.
he's just so much inspiration in my life.
That's so great to hear. I think it's so important to have that. You were saying like family support is huge too, because it's a community that you grow in, and then you're never in it with just each other. You're always bringing people into the marriage, and also you're growing together individually, but also like with your friend groups and with your family. So it's so cool to hear that you have that support. Um, so I guess my other question to you and along those lines is what is the most challenging part of being married, and what is the aside from like financial stuff, what is the greatest obstacle that you faced so far in the past 3 years?
Hmm. I guess I can acknowledge I have a very strong personality. Uh, I know what I want. I know what I need.
Yeah, girl, you
Yeah,
do that.
because of that, we do clash on certain matters that we may disagree on. And I think probably the hardest hurdle would be running to those situations that we do disagree on and working it out with each other
Hmm.
in a way that doesn't hurt each other. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, that's definitely with conflict too, you kind of have to be aware of like how the other person operates, right? And how do you guys handle conflict, just out of curiosity, between the two of you?
We do talk it out. So we
Okay.
will yap at each other. Um, I can argue forever, and
Mm,
he can too. So we will
amen.
butt heads, and neither of us
Oh man.
will. No mercy.
No, no.
So, but then I end up being like, okay, we clearly disagree here, and we will probably continue to disagree because we both feel strongly on our own opinions.
For sure.
And then I just say, let's leave it at that. Let's compromise, come to the middle, and move on.
All right.
So,
It sounds like a good solution.
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
gonna,
I don't, yeah, it can get ugly. Just the,
hmm Are you guys the kind of people to kind of like settle things right away, or do you guys need time apart to kind of think about things? Like, what's that like in terms of conflict management and conflict resolution?
um, I'm definitely the confrontational type because I like to just,
Hmm.
I'm very direct. I don't like to beat around the bush and, so, I just say as it is. And if
Hmm.
we disagree, we talk about it, find a solution, and make sure it
Hmm.
doesn't happen again, because
Yeah, for sure.
run into the same problems, the bad things will just come back and get repeated. What's the point in
Hmm.
doing that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the same way. For me, it's like I'd rather just get it over with, I'd rather just talk about it right away. I think I just like the experiences I had in the past is just my significant other would be like, you need some time to cool off, maybe, and that's like the hardest thing for me. I was like,
Oh,
I
so you
hear you
like to
on
talk
being,
about it like right then and there and solve
yeah,
it.
exactly. But I found like over time though, I just need that like the ability to kind of take a step back as well and kind of process what I'm feeling, because in a way I'm like if I just like go out at it right away, I'm not going to know what I'm even thinking, so I don't sound as coherent, I guess, and that doesn't really help the argument either. So that's just me.
Well, it in
uh,
terms of emotional, and that's okay.
yeah, exactly. um So I guess what are your future plans for your marriage? Do you plan on having kids? Like what's going to look like in the future for you guys?
I don't think kids are in our life right now just
Mm-hmm.
because of where we are in our careers. He's still in residency. He's
Mm-hmm.
got, goodness, 4 more years, sixth
Mm-hmm.
year, fifth, seventh year, then his fellowship.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quite the journey.
The responsibility that I'm just not ready for. But
That's
yeah, we intend to eventually.
yeah, yeah. I mean, all in good time, right? I feel like with kids too, it's a huge responsibility to bring them in, and you want to give that the best environment possible. So,
Yeah.
totally hear you on that. In terms of raising kids, then do you guys have like different philosophies? Like, have you talked about that?
I think just briefly and more of like on a superficial level, just because I
Mm-hmm.
don't both neither of us are ready for it yet.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, we do have tons of friends who have already embarked on that stage in their lives. So
Mm-hmm.
know that when we come to that stage ourselves, that we will have people to go to and get advice from.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, I think we do have the same values when it comes to having kids. So, and really, that's why I
Mm-hmm.
marry him.
No.
Agree on the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So, can you describe some of those values might be? Like, how do you envision yourself raising kids in the future? I know you guys have like maybe not talked about it, but like just like on a surface level, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
um, for sure, making sure that we're financially ready
Mm,
and making sure that um, we have kids during a time that we can have them.
yeah.
So right now it's tough because he's still in residency and he's got a lot
Mm-hmm.
still, and um, I will really want his help in the future.
Oh, for sure. It is a partnership, girl. It is not just all you or all him, right?
And I do have to consider, the discipline that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Neurosurgery tends to be probably the most rigorous and the most challenging in terms of training, duration of education, and
Definitely.
after their training, like this discipline is just very challenging, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not a secret in the medical community. So,
Yeah.
taking that into consideration, I have to grapple with the fact that I may be like a um, single mom, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
for us to have kids because of
Yeah.
him busy at work.
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge that you guys can definitely cross that bridge when you get there, but it sounds like you guys have at least you're still talking about it, which is huge. Um, So in the last like 5 minutes, is there anything that you wanted to share about being married, like the journey that you've had thus far that we haven't talked about? Anything you wanted to get out there?
Um, I would really encourage women and men to just don't call it quits when you run into a problem with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have this major argument over something, it doesn't mean that you can um, take him off your or her off your list of potential um, like wants to get married with each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are just part of life, arguments and disagreements and lows and here and there relationships. Like
Mm-hmm.
they will happen. And to some degree, to some extent, you can't really even prevent them. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
you even should let them happen so that you can talk things out and figure out what is important to you and what's not. And
Right.
even for the relationship. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, be ready for compromise, be ready to learn from your relationships, and don't be afraid. Reach out to other people who've been through it before, listen to what they have to say, use the advices that you think will are worthy of implementing in your
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that's like the well-rounded kind of like summary of what everything you talked about. And I think you have a really good idea and a good grasp on what a marriage should look like. And like props to you guys. You guys, it seems like you've gone through a lot from like day one. And so here you are, 3 to 4 years later, and still looks like it sounds like you're going like doing really, really well. And I'm really happy to see that. And it gives people hope for marriage, because people always kind of view marriage as this like really scary big thing that, should end up being enjoyable. And then thank you for reminding us of that too. Um, yeah, so with that being said, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Jean, thank you again so much for sharing your experiences with us. I really like sincerely do appreciate it. I mean, we don't really talk about marriage too often in the Asian American community and what that's actually like, and the struggles that you go through, and also the good things and the bad things, because it's just the media that we see, right? And so it's good to have a first person look into what that's like. So thank you so much, Jean. Um, Again, just to wrap things up, guys, social media plugs, please like, subscribe to our channel. We love having you. We appreciate you guys for watching and taking the time to do so. And yeah, and so you guys have a great 4th. Enjoy your day. Be safe, y'all, and make sure you please wear your masks.
Daphne?
Yeah. Oh, and also, thank you so much to Brian for being the moderator here. We appreciate you too. You are the best. And we will catch you guys next time.